Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hello again, and welcome to another wonderful episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. This is episode 41. I am your host, SavageTechman, aka Ed. And this episode is to kind of catch you up to the best show on TV that you may not be watching or DVRing to watch later, Mr. Robot. We've talked about it a little bit on the podcast here, and I wanted to kind of bring everybody up to speed, and those who haven't checked it out on the USA Network, you definitely should look it up online. And we have this week starting season 2 of Mr. Robot, and we just wanted to kind of go over what's happened so far with this brilliant television show. Like I said, it comes on USA Network, and one of the main writers is Sam Ismail, and it's a very dark, very edgy, psychological thriller of a television show about this gentleman named Elliot, and he is played by Rami Malek, and brilliantly captivating. I discovered this show like a lot of people before I heard all the fanfare about it. I discovered the show and was just enthralled by it. It was just very engrossing, and it pulls you into this world that's very dark, very disturbing world of Elliot. He is this young, very antisocial computer genius. He's a programmer at this corporation that deals with cybersecurity, but at night he's kind of like a vigilante. He's a hacker. He's into bringing down the economic system as we know it. He's played brilliantly by Christian Slater, and he is actually Mr. Robot, Christian Slater is, and he recruits Elliot into this world, in this group called F Society, and they're a group of hackers, and they're trying to bring down what they call Evil Corp in the TV show. And it's very interesting show. If you think along the games of Matthew Broderick's film from 1983, War Games, Shall We Play a Game? That talks about, World War III starting by a computer, just learning that they were going to play global thermonuclear war as a game, but the computer doesn't realize it's a game. And it's along that lines, Matthew Broderick being a hacker, and then also this Elliot character is definitely a hacker in that sense. But he's not. He may be doing some things that are illegal, but he does have a good intent for what he's doing. So he's a likable character that you feel sorry for, that you root for, but yet you know what he's doing is inherently wrong, or is it? That's kind of the dilemma that you go back and forth with this series, and with every episode it just amps it up. And Elliot is he's very disturbed emotionally. He's very socially awkward. He is, as a special I was watching on Decoded, and they talked about how that Elliot is just very kind of disaffected by the world. He's apart from the world. He wants to be part of people's lives, so he just hacks into their accounts, their Facebook accounts, their whatever accounts, their, to actually, he contradicts himself in that way to be their friends, but he's not really trying to be their friends. He's really trying, with F Society, to cause an economic collapse, which at the end of season 1, they succeeded with that. And Mr. Robot's going in season 2 in a direction from the fallout of all that happened in season 1. And Elliot doesn't really care about money, he doesn't care about prestige or anything. He kind of reminds you a little bit of Neo in the Matrix movies. He's Neo, but his real life kind of sucks. But after WikiLeaks and the NSA, tapping into people's information, the Edward Snowden thing, those are real life events that have happened, and some of the things that happened here on Mr. Robot in season 1 are things that are happening now. It's not just science fiction, some of it's become science fact. And that's it blurs the line. This show totally blurs the line between what is theoretically possible and what could already be occurring. So, it reminds you a little bit of a George Orwell's 1984 kind of Orwellian society, where you're constantly being watched, a kind of a military state. It makes you think along the lines of the movie V for Vendetta, where the people in the guise of security gave up so many liberties just out of fear. You can look in around the world and post 9/11 how a lot of people feel that way with terrorism and other things going on. But it's a very interesting show. It's very much of the times. Now, the show won, and I'm going to read off real quick, a bunch of awards. It just came out of the gate and was a very big hit for USA Network. It got the Golden Globe Award for Best Television Series Drama. It got a Peabody Award. They got a Universal Cable Productions Critics' Choice Award for Best Drama Series. Writers Guild of America Award for Television News Series. Sam Esmail, David Ierson, Adam Penn, they got the Critics' Choice Television Award for that, for writers, for the Writers Guild, being the head writers on the show. Rami Malek, won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Drama Series, and the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Series, Miniseries, or Motion Picture made for television was Christian Slater. So that's pretty cool for Christian Slater, who's actually Mr. Robot in this show. The Critics' Choice Television Award for Best Supporting Actor, we said, was Christian Slater. Satellite Award for Best Supporting Actor, Series, Miniseries, or Television or Film went to Christian Slater. And then we have the Gotham Independent Film Award for Breakthrough Series Long Form, and that goes to the head writer, Sam Esmail. So that's a list of all the awards that Mr. Robot won in its first, after the first season. And we're looking forward to season 2, which is beginning this week, and all the fallout from the big hack. And how possible is this? A lot of this is possible. To the conspiracy theorists out there, or those that say that the camera on your laptop, that you should tape it up because it can be hacked. Right now somebody could be watching you. It's that kind of panic, that kind of paranoia in this society that we live in now, where everything is digital. Everybody's life is on Facebook. And it's social media. Everybody is connected in this world through social media, we've seen this week with the police deaths in Dallas, and we've seen with response to, the Louisiana man that got killed there, and other places. And these are real world situations and that fall along race lines, economic disparity lines, maybe even educational lines. There's so many systemic issues from all of this. And Mr. Robot as a show parallels a lot of reality. It's very much in the moment of what is going on. And, even Anonymous, the group that's hacked certain people, WikiLeaks that happened, we talked a little bit about there. And, this is the kind of world that we live in, where we have all these electronic social media and we're interconnected through the internet, but that interconnection can go both ways, and it definitely can make for a scary society when you feel like everywhere you go a camera is there, or somebody's now live streaming on Facebook something that's going on. That can be a point that can be a good thing, and everybody has a phone basically, so your phone is just a little handheld computer with a window to the world that could be hacked. And there's really, truly, to the expert hackers out there, there's no system that doesn't have a back door. Every system, has a back door. In the show, he switches out the SIM chips from one phone to another to essentially, steal the information from that phone. And are these things legal? No, not by any means. But do they occur? Yes, I'm sure that they do. There's a lot of people out there that would take this a lot more serious, and some that would take it less serious. We want the conveniences that a technological world brings to us as a society, but when we put all of our information out there, someone with the right skill set can take parts of that information and reconstruct whoever they want to be, or they can take it all. Your life could totally be changed. You could say one wrong thing on social media and lose your job. You could say, or there could just be the way someone takes a text. You can't tell intent from a text. From an email, you can't necessarily tell someone's intent. It's, where we live in such a technologically advanced society now that it seems that sometimes people are out there to build people up and to watch them fall just as quicker, as fast as possible. And the world that Elliot lives in, Mr. Robot, is very much like that. It's very much, he's so paranoid and he feels like he's being watched all the time. He has this incredible loneliness in him, and it's a sort of mystique it adds to his character. And he wants, like I said, to connect with society, but he's also offended by society, and it's kind of a disaffected youth in that sense. And there are a lot of people out there that are just like Elliot. They have totally mad skills on a computer, and they've grown up with it, so they know the ins and outs. And it's one thing, the governments hire certain hackers. According to the show Decoded, Mr. Robot Decoded, they have white hackers, which are people that are hacking for corporations. They may hire a hacker to test their system, basically, to see if it's foolproof or can't be hacked. But Usually there's, when you think something's not hackable, it ends up being someone coming along that can figure out how to hack the impossible hack. And so those are your white hat hackers. Then you have the black hat hackers, black hat hackers, as they're called on the show there. And they are basically people that go unsupervised, hackers that have malicious intent about what they're doing. They're trying to steal someone's identity, take everything they own, destroy a person, electronically, etc. And then you have the people in the show in Decoded that I got this from. They talk about the gray hackers, and the F Society group on Mr. Robot fall in the line of gray hackers. Yes, what they're doing, as they say in the show Decoded there, they're doing it. They're doing this hacking. They're doing something illegal, so it's wrong, but they're not inherently bad people. And I know that sounds contradictory, but that's how they said that the hackers or a society falls in on this show. They're kind of the gray hackers, like I said, Elliot and the hackers, they like society, but they also despise it. They want to be friends with people, but they see the ugly sides of people. And too often and too recently in this world, we haven't looked beyond just the veneer of a person, what a person appears to be. We don't look deeper sometimes to find the good in that person. And, sometimes it takes a little bit more than just your basic, looking at the book of a cover. You need to know what's in the book, you need to know more. And I think we all can do that. But this show touches a lot of nerves, Mr. Robot does, and season 2 I expect to be, if it's anything like season 1, it's just going to be mind-boggling, and definitely not a show for the younger listeners out there, younger viewers. It is on USA Network, but it deals with a lot of real-world scenarios that can be quite terrifying. If you've ever been a victim of identity theft, that would definitely, this show would definitely scare you. The Sam Esmail, who's the head writer on the show, said that he's got a lot of paranoia, and he's going to spread it to the cast of the show, and got them taping up their laptop cameras and everything. So that's the thing about it is we trade a lot of our privacy for security. The majority of people's, their passwords are not strong passwords, because we're kind of a more or less a lazy society, in the sense that we'll pick a birth date, or we'll pick a pet's name or something weird for your password. But unless you're using biometrics or something to that effect, you're really not terribly secure. And even then, movies deal with this all the time, ever since basically The Matrix and beyond, which was so far ahead of its time. You see a lot of these real world situations, and there's so many different avenues that can be explored and are explored in a show like Mr. Robot. So if you are not out there watching Mr. Robot, I definitely say you should watch it. It's going to give you a lot to think about. It's very interesting. It's going to get you quite hacked off, so to speak. Mr. Robot, a brilliant show. The writing is impeccable on it. It's definitely something you should check out. So, coming this week, Mr. Robot, check it out on USA Network. And thank you for joining us for another wonderful edition of the Geek Homeworld podcast. We are doing a lot of fun things here at the podcast. Let us know. Hit us back on Twitter at Geek Homeworld, and let's continue the conversation online and have a great, wonderful reality. Okay, goodbye. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes, see us on YouTube, be part of our Mixler chats. Thank you. See you again on the Geek Homeworld podcast.